How many of those have you had already?
It's my number 2.
Gonzaga Nation SI here at the Tough Luck Bar in North Portland during the first round of the NCAA tournament. Have a chance to sit down with a couple very interesting and unique guests. It's taken a while for us to calm down and get in position to have a conversation about one of the things that makes Gonzaga basketball, Gonzaga University so unique, so special, and that is the Kennel Club. These guys sitting around me here today are the OGs of the Kennel Club. We're going to just get right into it. They'll introduce themselves, tell us where they're originally from, maybe the major that they had while they were at Gonzaga besides being a part of the Kennel Club. So we'll get started on the right-hand side of the table.
Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having us. I was the first Kennel Club president in 1985, 86.
What's your name?
Oh, Paul Finn. Yeah, good call. And, you know, my major was biology, which none of these guys could spell, so we're good. I'll turn it to you, Matty.
Chris, Magic Man began. I was a marketing major, baseball team player, and one of the founding members of the Kennel Club.
And Greg Bowie, I graduated in 1988 with a degree in TV broadcasting. Not a baseball player, but loved the game of basketball and was always a part of this team and this friendship. So great to be here today.
Jeff Zenier, people call me Z, Seattle, Washington. 83
Spokane.
Now Spokane. Did the move less than a year ago. Baseball 83 to 88 and marketing major.
And guys, we're sitting here, first round of the NCAA tournament, 23 straight years now for Gonzaga basketball in the NCAA tournament. There's a couple guys that weren't able to make it. If Gonzaga makes it to their third Final Four, I'm sure they will be partaking in festivities down there. Maybe we get a chance to reconvene and do part 2 of a sit down with the Kennel Club. But who are a couple of the kind of integral guys for that first group of Kennel Club that weren't able to be here today?
Yeah, Z, I mean.
Definitely Mike Shields, Bob Twist, Joe Roberts, who you mentioned, Chris, came up with the actual name Kennel Club when there was a little round table in someone's living room and that won out.
Sean Hogan,
yeah.
Mike Easter.
A lot of them, yeah, they were kind of like the grad students when we kind of first started. So they kind of had their own little group. We were our little group, and then someone just said, guys, let's.
Yeah, these were the seniors. They're the ones that set the tone for not only what happened back then, but what exists today. I mean, they were the energy, they were the vision, they are the ones who inspired all of us.
And originally it started, I mean, because I think Shieldsy had to pay for his rent, and he needed to sell shirts and needed to have a party.
Exactly.
So he would have, you know, he would throw a party, and it was $5 to get in, all you could drink, and that's how he paid his rent every year.
I don't think I ever.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
Businessman at an early age.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the coming up with the name Kennel Club. What were some of the other options? Because Kennel Club is obviously stuck.
Doghouse, Dog Pound.
Yeah, anything around, obviously around the dog things. I don't remember all of them, but I don't. Yeah, it's stuck and it sure worked, obviously. But yeah, so good job, Joe.
I think we had about 7 of them, and Mike Harrington had a couple too. But it was, you know, sitting around, having a beer, throwing out names, and the Kennel Club went out.
Well, you know, and part of this, I think, you know, they can go to the book. Plug, you know, cheap plug on the book right now.
We are
GU, written by Shieldsy and Aaron Hill.
Ovis.
Yes, Aaron Hill. He was connected with the basketball program when I was there. He was a manager with the team, so he knows the ins and outs of the program. He knows the ins and outs of the Kennel Club and how kind of those stories are woven together well. But there's a lot of background that's known that many of you guys were former baseball players or athletes at GU that wanted great seats at the game and wanted to be supportive of your fellow student athlete friends. What was the whole thought behind getting just the same section in front day after day after day?
I want to say, didn't they end up roping a section off?
Yeah, in fact, Bowie likes to do the police story.
Well, the part of it was, I think that's amazing is today it takes several days to get your ticket and get in line. Back then, we show up 2 minutes before tip-off and sit front row. And then as 20 turned into 50, turned into 100 students, Then all of a sudden, we'd show up for the game, we'd be like, where are our seats? Hold on, we need to, so we got some police tape. And we said, no, these are our sections. So now, can you imagine the other folks coming and kind of go, what's up with the tape? It was for the 50 students who were really into it, the Shields and the seniors and everybody else.
Kennel Club members, we
That
all
was
had to
it.
have our shirt on.
Yeah.
Right,
After
the
the
very
first
first
shirts were-
original.
Well, that's what got you into the party. You had to
Yeah,
have a
sure.
shirt on. You had to
So the original Kennel Club, you had to become a member, and that was by buying a T-shirt and going to a
and
party.
paying Shilty's rent.
And paying his rent.
True story though, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So $20 for a shirt,
Yep.
gets you membership, gets you a T-shirt, pays for his rent,
Yeah.
gets you into the taped off, policed off
Yep.
section of games.
Yep.
Well, and it all had to do with Dan Fitzgerald, right? And Joe Hillock and Jay Hillock. I mean, we used to go, I'd meet with Joe ahead of the game. He'd say, hey, do what you guys do. All of a sudden, we'd show up with a keg at either Shields' house or the baseball house. And some of us were, underage and some of us were of age. But we still had a great time. Got prepared for the basketball game so that when we got there, we were ready to go.
That was the best part. The coaching staff, both basketball and baseball,
They expected.
were folks who were like, hey, we got something here. And it was great that they were so supportive of it as well.
Yeah.
Whether it's helping us buy a keg or just making sure we all showed up together, right? Because that
Her
was
team was big on that.
that was the other thing. We had multiple sections.
No, he was. He was
Make sure you guys get together.
like-
No, he wasn't pushing the beer part. He was
No.
he was
He's
just
pushing the camaraderie. I know.
Yeah.
Coach
Yeah.
Hurd is
To be
just
clear,
big
to be
down.
clear.
No, exactly, what you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, fellow athletes, he's like, guys, these guys are you
Yeah.
too. I want you guys to
Get
get
together.
what you do, get together in the front row and, help these guys out. support each other.
proud.
Yeah. He goes,
That's one of the best Hurd kind of impressions I've heard in quite some time.
hey guys, don't embarrass me.
Yeah.
But no,
So
yeah.
with getting the keg there, I've heard multiple stories, and you guys can kind of tell the truth. Would Fitzgerald kind of pass some money to you guys? Was there an open tab at Jack and Dan's that you guys would just know the keg would automatically be
Yes.
put on that tab?
as someone who works for the university currently right now, there were no NCAA violations whatsoever.
That's right.
So, but
Good
you-
point. However, some of us would go see Dan Fitzgerald on game day, which I always love telling the story. Can you imagine going to see Coach today on game day? Coach Phil going, hey, Coach, good to see you. But Fitzy loved the spirit and the energy,
Oh, no.
and he knew he knew we had something.
Yep.
And it was $40 for a keg. And we go see Jack Stockton, and Jack was the best. And then Jack would say, hey, I need another $20 for a deposit.
Yeah.
I got nothing. There was nothing, right?
Right.
But the fact that Jack was always there, because Jack knew we had something going too.
Yes.
Obviously. And John obviously was playing, and moving on and playing for Utah. But Jack loved the spirit. And so it was Fitz supporting us, getting to Jack, and then getting a bunch of students together to have some fun pregame.
So it sounds like it was absolutely supported by the athletic department coaches, not specifically the athletic department. And it
Correct.
wasn't supported by the school itself. That's changed quite a bit in recent years.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll touch on that as the conversation goes on, but was there any pushback from administration once you guys got a little bit bigger and maybe a little bit rowdier?
Yeah, there was. I mean, and part of it was, like you said, it did. It started to get it started getting bigger, larger, and people were actually coming to games, I think, not even to watch basketball, just to watch this guy flop around on the court out there. But it was, and that's exactly why I became the first president, is because they said, hey, you're going to become a club at the university now, and so you have to have a president, you have to have a secretary. So we're at one of the pregame things, and someone goes, hey, who wants to be president? And I didn't raise my hand. Someone just said Finn. So, crap. So that's how it came. That's why it became a club, because we were getting too big, and they needed to control us a little bit.
So as the first Kennel Club president, and I see your shirt, Kennel Club co-founder on the.
Well, I wasn't really
right chest.
co-founder, that's these guys.
Well, they've got it. They got KCOGs
Yeah.
on the back of their shirt here, but you guys use it, wear that with a lot of pride.
Oh, absolutely.
But your responsibilities as the first president, what were those responsibilities? Make sure the keg was there on time. Make sure that the police tape was on time in a big enough section for everyone. What were the responsibilities?
At that time, 2 criteria, and again, I was not working for the university at the time, so
Yeah.
was I had to be able to carry a keg and I had to be able to tap it. That was it, for the
Okay.
president. So I had to make sure it got there. So I carried it there and I tapped it, and that was it. And that was all the responsibility I had.
Did that maybe discredit a few Kennel Club members not being able to carry and/or the experience to tap a keg?
Yeah, we had a few guys who couldn't carry it.
We didn't discriminate though, right, Beach?
Is it safe to say the job description might have evolved?
Oh, it's
over time?
changed dramatically. I mean, right
A little
now,
bit.
it's, yeah, they have a, I don't know what
Board,
their budget
yeah,
is, but they have a, they have a huge budget, they have a board, and,
It's trademark, it's copyright.
yeah, everything is.
With a lot of what I do with Gonzaga Nation SI, each week I interview a member of the Kennel Club, and so I've gotten to talk with a number of them throughout the year, and they've got executive board positions, they've got class reps, and they've got over 1,000 members.
Yes, it's the largest club on campus.
It's amazing, and you guys started in the mid-'80s. Think what this is, almost 40 years later, you go from 50-ish members to well over 1,000. I mean, how much pride do you guys have in starting something that's been so impactful, long-lasting, but it's also known across the country?
I promised myself I wasn't gonna get emotional on this, but it's pretty fabulous. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch what it was to where it is now.
Well, we've kept that thread too. There's a couple times I've been invited to come back. I think it was
Yeah.
10,
Oh, yeah.
12 years
Right.
ago, and we'd go to the president's event house, have a little 3-on-3 basketball game in the alley with their hoop, and so competition between former Kennel Clubbers. But again, the thread I think is there.
The thing I
And it's
love,
the community, so
the
that's
thing I
what-
love the most is talking to current students. And once they find out I was a member of the original Kennel Club, then they just dive in with questions.
Right.
I mean, it is awesome.
Can we get a picture with
How'd you do
you?
this? And
Timeline,
how'd you
yeah.
start that? And I tell them, well, we're the ones that started the tunnel for the players to run out. It blows their mind. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You guys are the ones that started that? Which, 40 years later, continues to this day.
Sure.
Well, I
Which
think
is awesome.
the tunnel for a former player like myself, like that was always the coolest thing when you were part of the starting lineup. You're sitting there, and the other team's done with their introductions, and then you're sitting there, and all of a sudden the stand's just empty, and they beeline to form the tunnel.
Yeah, it's gotta get you
and
going.
you get the goosebumps and you get ready to go.
Yeah.
That I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Gonzaga is the only school in the country that allows students on the floor pregame like that.
I'm glad they kept that too.
Well,
'cause they very
before,
easily
it was
could
the
not
entire Kennel Club. We were all doing that.
Yeah.
Now it's just the front row. They only
Right.
allow.
So like first
Yeah,
50 people.
Right, the
Yeah.
front row, that's it,
I remember the first time we did that, Santa Clara, Coach Carol Williams, last game, and I can't recall, maybe you guys remember, who decided we were going to do that? I remember though, we told the players we were going to do it.
Yep.
And we were great friends with the basketball team, obviously. And we stormed the court, and I remember going back to our seats and looking at the administration, and they were freaking out. They're like, what? The students are on the court pregame, you're supposed to do that after the game.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've carried that tradition to this day, to your point, I mean, that's super special. So I love seeing those historical moments that we created that continue to this day, which makes the Kennel Club special.
Well, the Kennel Club always seemed to toe the line from when I was there playing or shortly thereafter at the old the Martin Center, which to this day, I still feel is louder than McCarthy. McCarthy's one of the greatest environments in the country, but there was nothing like the Martin Center. When I read Mike Shields' book, We Are GU, when I've heard stories from other you guys, seen pictures, you guys would even go onto the floor during a game. I believe it might have been a picture of you on the court, standing next to an official, kind of helping him, show him some glasses, asking him if he wanted to borrow a pair.
And then I would join him at Jack and Dan's after for a beer, if he got the calls right, because obviously they weren't doing a good job. So one of our guys on the baseball team, Tommy Bennett, came up with the little paper bags. They were white with black stripes with a big circle and a slash through it. When the refs would make a bad call, we'd all put our bags on our head. And imagine the fans having all those today if they did it. I mean, the refs would go nuts. And yesterday, probably, we could have had a couple of those moments because the refs sucked. But, sorry about that, ref. But it was fun, right? And we could go out onto the court, unlike today, where you probably get kicked out of the game, maybe even arrested for going on the court and talking to the refs and just offering your 2 cents. You know, we obviously had a great time, and we were allowed to do that back in the day, and it was fun. Like Bob said, it's like great to see people out there cheering us on and doing everything that we could to disrupt the energy of the game if it wasn't going our way. You know, yelling at the other players.
And that was that's a good segment, because that was more kind of back then what we were about finding someone, getting in their head, player by player. You know, we didn't have a lot of organized change.
Well, you didn't have the internet, so you didn't know who was doing what.
Who was doing what.
It depended on.
We didn't have organized, you know, chants, so we're just like, we're picking on this guy right here.
Yeah.
He's got a terrible, terrible hairdo, or we read something about him that, oh, he got in trouble in the dorm. So that's how we did our.
Maybe even got arrested.
So that's, I mean, because Gonzaga's got one of the best, obviously, environments, but it's time, like when Zombie Nations happen, when this is going to happen.
Correct.
You guys were just organic, like you saw something, you went for it.
Yep.
But you also had to do your background, your research beforehand, because there was no Google, there was no internet. How did you guys find out, like, any background on guys, and then how did you share it amongst each other to get ready for a game?
It was, I mean, we had a lot of guys.
We'd get a scouting report.
Scouting reports.
We'd get a piece of
Would the
paper.
coaches help with that in any way, shape,
That
or form?
I don't know where it came
I'm sure
from.
they were.
I'm sure it's similar. But we had a printed scouting report that said, okay, this person's fake. This person did whatever they did. You know, this person got arrested. Or
Just
whatever.
broke up with
And
a
then we just-
girlfriend or something like that. I mean, that, literally, it was like 10 bullet points.
But we had friends who lived in LA, and we would call them and say, hey, what are you hearing in the local paper? What's the word? What's happening? Which, to your point, there was no Google. So when we had that intel, part of the pregame, the prep, and the scouting report, I remember at the house, as a baseball house, we passed out that piece of paper like, oh, here's the
It's like hitting your scouting
hit
report
list,
for the game.
right? Yeah, here's your scouting report.
So great.
With opposing coaches coming into the kennel now, you know, they prepare their team to have to deal with the energy, the noise, the excitement of the Kennel Club and McCarthy itself. And they show a lot of respect for the kennel. What was it like from opposing coaches when they would walk in and see you guys as a newly formed group that was just off the walls with energy, excitement, maybe saying some unacceptable things along the way to their players?
I got 2 stories I'd like to share.
Yeah.
So the first story was, you know, Joe and Jay Hillock were coaches of Gonzaga University and actually still friends of ours. I mean, they were great guys. But when Jay went down and ended up coaching an opponent, we ended up dressing like him on his first day back. There was 3 of us, myself, John Weber, and Tim O'Neill. And we went out and got brown polyester pants at the thrift store, along with our yellow button-down shirt, which is what he wore at every game, and a tie. And we ended up dressing like him, and of course, we went down to our knees because Jay was short. No, sorry, but it was so much fun, and we ended up getting on the front of the Spokesman Review that next day after we beat him, imitating Jay Hillock for a welcome back. And then the second thing I wanted to share was when Coach Gourjon came to the kennel, we welcomed him. I found out that he had a toupee. And so
Coach Gourjon was which opponent?
Loyola.
Loyola.
And Loyola was actually a pretty good team back then.
Yeah.
They had Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball, Keith Smith. And that day we ended up beating them. Stockton went off. And what was crazy about it was knowing that he had a toupee, we got a chant going, you know, ran out to the middle of the court, give me a T, give me an O, give me a U. Spelled out toupee, who's got it? Coach! And Coach looked over at us and was just fired up. like pointing at us, ready to come out and attack us. And after the game, he came running over to us as we stormed the court because we won. And he just goes, "We need you guys down at Loyola. We're gonna pay you to come fly down and teach our kids what to do."
You guys take him up on that offer?
No. But he was fired up, so stoked, couldn't believe how much energy we had, even though it was a small amount, but the gym got crazy because we made it that way. And that was part of the original Kennel Club.
How about you guys? Do you have any other stories as far as respect from opposing coaches that they came over and appreciated the atmosphere that you provided? Because any competitor wants to be in an environment like what the Kennel provides.
Yeah, I've been, you know, in my position with the university, I've been asked numerous times by other alumni directors within the school, WCC, you know, how do you get that going? How do you start it? And like I said, it was organic, so, and it just kept and it held. But I mean, I've had probably 3 of the schools say, "We need your blueprint on how to do this." And of course, I shared it with them. I go, well, first of all, you need to provide some incentive, which might be a K, you know, or something, but we don't do that.
Today, maybe White Claw or True.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about though. It starts with people though. I mean,
Right.
you know, for the Mike Shields and the rest of the group to get that thing started, it started with people. So I think that's why it's hard to replicate with other schools, right? It's one thing to say we want to do it, but if you don't have the right folks to get it going,
Well,
and
the
have that
relationship
passion-
and the culture. I mean,
Yeah.
and at the time when it was started, it was the baseball team or I mean they were
Right.
just, we had to go to the basketball games.
Yeah.
You know, they said we're going to support them, and they supported us. And so I don't know if they have that in other places where.
Well, hey, plus it's Spokane, so
Yeah.
I mean, so
There's
to
not
be
a lot
clear,
there.
what else are you doing on a Thursday night?
And
you know?
Dan, I do want to give a plug, because you just mentioned, they supported us. You know,
Yeah.
they would back in a pickup truck in left field.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And 8 of them would sit in the back of the pickup.
They-
You know, Again,
Yeah.
maybe something libations involved,
Yeah.
and they would do the rags on the other team just like we did. So that was cool.
Tommy Clay's truck.
Trucks, yeah.
And they
It was
had the
great.
keg out there, and then they'd come out on the left field and they would do the wave.
It was
The
a
basketball team.
Yes.
Supporting
Well,
us.
and all the supporting
Yeah.
Kennel
Yeah.
Club
Okay.
people, like
Yeah.
Boo Boo's
Right.
out there.
Yeah.
I got pictures of you.
Like who does a wave in between the
baseball
7th
game.
inning, you know, between the
Left-
top and the
left field.
bottom of the 7th? That's the 7th inning stretch. No, it was a 7th inning wave in left field.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
great.
was
So
John
I-
Stockton a part of the wave? Because obviously you guys supported him in his career.
That was our freshman year, 83 when we left, but I think this.
No, John, I think was busy.
He was busy.
In Utah, somewhere.
Somewhere,
But,
but yeah, it was a good group, good core.
So with the fact that you guys are building the excitement, you're getting recognition now from outside coaches and other programs, at what point did the school say, we're 100% on board supporting you? Because they could have easily taken that police tape, moved it up off the court where you didn't have access
Yeah,
to the
right,
officials'
right,
ears.
right.
They built the McCarthy Athletic Center where they kept the students as close to possible.
Which a lot of schools don't do that.
Yeah, at what point did you guys think the university realized they had something?
You know, I think it was probably mid to late 80s, 87, 88, when we officially became a club. And then they had a little more control, but then they started tightening down, because, I mean, granted, we were a little out of control in the 80s.
never.
Yeah, and, you know, but then it came in the 90s, and all of a sudden now we were becoming a group that was very visible, you know, and so we had to kind of tone some stuff down. Like, remember when they used to announce the starting lineups, we'd all turn our backs, grab a newspaper or whatever, we turn our backs to them. They don't do that anymore. I don't think they
It's
do.
not very Christian-like.
I know, yeah, you know, and
Disrespectful, you know.
so they had a little more control, started controlling a little bit what we could and couldn't do, and
I remember I think it was 87, correct me if I'm wrong, where I think the dean of students at the time would come and sit kind of at the edge and make sure we were saying things that might be a little more appropriate, right? So 84, 85, 86,
completely
uncontrolled.
unfiltered college
Unfiltered,
students with a
yes.
keg pregame
And-
had been
You
amazing.
hit it, Dan, right
Well,
there.
and you know, part of it too, I mean, parents used to come, people used to come to the games, sit across from us and say, that's the reason I come to the game.
Honest.
Because
To watch
I
you
love
guys.
watching the students. I love watching what they're doing. They're just full of energy.
I thought it was me boxing
No,
the
no,
bulldog.
no.
No, it was me.
No one's going to look at just magic, so.
There was one time where when we had the new, I'm drawing a blank on our McCarthy Center. Anyway, the McCarthy Center,
Oh, yeah.
when we opened it up, where Z and I and Mike Shields
I'll take that away from you.
came back, and
Yes,
Coach Hertz comes over to me and he says, "Hey,
guys.
don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me." And he sat us next to Julie McCullough. And she at the time, I think, was Dean of Students or, head of student activity. And I said, "Coach, no problem. We got this. It's all under control." We got to sit in the kennel, which was very cool for the three of us. And we got announced, one of the timeouts, which was great. But I had this raw seat. It was the toilet seat that, as you raised it up, it would say raw. And you get the crowd going. So we go to the student section, raw, 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 raw. And then I go to the adult section because they were never into the game back when we were at school.
Yeah.
And I get them going. So we finally had something to get them into it, and I go back and forth, and then I go chasing after the ref. Well, Tim O'Neill dared me to say, "Magic, this is your time to get on ESPN," if there was ever a time, because ESPN, it was like one of the first times they were, filming at the game, right? So I'm out there, and they announce us, and I stayed out there as long as I could. The players came back on the court. Ronnie Turiaf's going in between. And I'm chasing the ref with my raw seat. And O'Neill said I didn't get on TV, but the announcers stated that there's one of the original co-founders of the Kennel Club on the court chasing around with a toilet seat, chasing the refs around. So he at least called me back and said, "Hey, you did a great job. You got announced, but didn't get on TV."
That's why there's more policies by the school.
Right.
Because of him.
Yeah, because of
Okay.
And he doesn't know because at that time I was
Part of the university
part of
staff.
the university, and I was told make sure that no one gets on the floor. It's an ESPN.
One of your best
it's
friends
ESPN.
is out there
It's like
not following protocol.
Oh God, man.
So that memo didn't get to
No,
Chris.
yeah,
I
no,
love it.
it didn't.
I love it.
I said, this is a new era. This is not the old kennel where you can just run out on the floor anytime you want.
Well, that's when we went to the Kennel Club party, and the then president announced the three of us, and it was great. To your point, it's like almost like, "Oh, thank you so much. This is great." And so that was fun. So there's that thread again.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
So you guys are all wearing Kennel Club attire, t-shirts. That was a big part of your acceptance into the club when it first started. It's become a big deal. A new shirt is brought out every single year, and you have to be a member of the club to get a shirt. If you can somehow, as an outsider, get a shirt, like, you treat that thing as gold. I remember that as a player. Like, I had to ask Stephen Cherney, the Kennel Club president at the time, "Is there any way I can get a couple of those?" He had to sneak them out of the office or whatever at the Kennel Club at the time. For you guys to see the importance of the shirt in Spokane, how cool has that been?
Well, I still have the one from '86.
Yeah.
I should have brought it, but it's. I mean, my daughter, when she went there, she wore it. She was there like 5 years, and she wore it. And Chris's daughter wore it. I'm sure. So your daughter.
Well, that's the point of pride.
It was so great, and people were like, "Where did you get that?"
Yeah.
It's like my dad.
Well, the best is when we show up with these shirts now at a ball game, particularly at an away game.
Okay.
It's the number of fans who come up and say, "Are you part of the original Kennel Club?"
Remember the Final Four?
Final
you
Four,
guys
yeah.
you guys all had the shirts on.
Yeah, that's right.
And then like 30 people wanted to take this big
Right.
group photo. Take a picture. We're kneeling down, and again, pride thing to your point. To see the shirts just a little more controlled now, but
Yeah.
still a new theme every year, and just.
And it's bigger in Spokane. I mean, it's, to the point, you go to the Final Four in Phoenix, and all of a sudden, now things are happening in Arizona. I mean, it's the fact that we've gone from small Spokane to now this national stage for all these
Cool.
students today is
Super
super cool.
When you look at what's at stake for the program now, I mean, they're playing for national titles, going into the Final Four. You guys started this in the mid-'80s. That first year Gonzaga made the NCAA tournament in 1995. I can imagine you guys all win. Did you think this was the pinnacle of the program to be in the NCAA tournament one time?
Yeah.
Yes. It can't get any better than this. Right?
Yes. One answer, yes.
I mean,
Did you guys all go?
Not that one.
No, I went the next one.
yeah, next one. Yeah,
So then let's fast forward to 99.
yeah, that was
They-
incredible.
98
Especially when they won, because there wasn't an expectation.
Yeah, 98 was a disappointing selection Sunday because they
Yeah.
were tremendous throughout the year.
Yes.
They beat some really good teams, but then they weren't selected as an at-large because they lost the conference tournament. At that time, there was no way around it. You're not getting an at-large
No.
from WCC. So the next year they come out, as everybody knows the story, they know they have to take care of business. They get a draw in the NCAA tournament in Seattle, so it's close enough for people to come.
Yep, we were there.
You guys were all there.
Yep.
What was that moment of pride like for each of you?
Just unbelievable. I mean, just to see them, it's the little train that could, right? Kept chugging up the hill, didn't make it, and now we did, and now we won. Now all of a sudden we're the Cinderella story.
The best though is like, you know, the team started getting better. We started getting to the tournaments in
recruits.
99 and 2000. But the kennel kept pace,
Kept going.
right? Which I think is
That's-
something that doesn't get talked about at all. The fact that while the teams were winning at a better clip, the kennel was too, right? Because those could have gone separate ways. But the kennel just kept meeting the expectations,
Yeah, that's a good
right?
point.
Which was awesome. And I think back then people didn't realize that,
No.
right?
It's unfortunate that we can't get all the students that want to go to the game. I mean, they got tent city, they got to wait in line, they got to get the notice.
They gotta be on the
click
Twitter
button.
feed right at-
Yeah, and
right
they
at
got
the
to
second.
run to different
I mean,
places across
kind of a-
campus. I mean,
Now,
yes.
now your daughter's a freshman at GU. Is she part of the Kennel Club?
Well, she tried. Well, yes, she is a
Yeah,
member of the
okay.
Kennel Club, but she wanted to be the freshman class president. She was number 2, unfortunately, so it broke my heart. But she may
You
try
didn't
again.
teach her well enough, I guess.
Well, she brought my Chucky Taylors, and she wore my Gonzaga baseball jacket. I mean, hey, I'm a proud, student of a father that was one of the founders, and that, I guess, kind of didn't, it did make
Sure.
to where she got to number 2. But Campbell does what she wants to do. She's great. Love you, honey.
So now we're in, I mean, we're in second generation.
Yeah,
which
we've all had kids.
which is really cool.
Yes.
My kids have gone through it. I have a nephew there now, and it's so fun to see the second generation. And I love telling them stories about how we got started. And some of the young kids today they have no
No
idea.
clue.
Yeah.
They have no idea until you tell them, well, here are the things that we did. And I hope the good students there are like, oh, I need to take a note from Chris.
And that's why every freshman coming in should have to read the book. We are GU.
That's a great call.
We are
If they read the book, then they'd
Oh, yeah.
understand.
They would. Good call. Good plug too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting really good at that.
Baseball teams, chapter 2. Baseball teams, chapter 2.
So when you look at the impact that you guys have had on different games, is there a game or an experience with an opposing player that comes to mind? Because you guys mentioned Coach Williams and Coach Gorgeon, but I've been told of 2 other stories of,
Oh, you
of
gotta tell
opposing
the
players.
Payton story. You gotta tell the
That's the
Payton
one I
story.
want to hear. I want to hear the Gary Payton story.
So, I think his name was Avery Brundage.
Yeah.
So he had just come off, he just got out of jail recently. They come in, Peyton was a freshman. So one of our buddies, John Hyland, we call him the Diva, he dressed up with jail gear, a bowling ball and chain. So when Avery was introduced, he ran out on the court, we started yelling, jailbait, jailbait. So there was a Sports Illustrated article, I don't know, within 6 to 8 months talking about his story, because it was a pretty good story. He got out of jail and was still able to play basketball, but he mentioned his experience at Gonzaga.
Yes.
And it was a little side clip down SI. Well, so we're getting in Peyton's mug. He was supposed to be this freshman superstar.
And he's a pretty good trash talker.
The guy can talk
Oh, he's
trash.
one of the best.
Stuff,
He's one of the
yes. Going off. So then we go down and play, we go down and play Oregon State. Is that where we were?
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
For baseball.
For baseball.
Baseball.
We're sitting in the dugout there's this head that leans over the dugout and leans down like this and go, "I'm here now, boys." And he was just chirping like nobody's business. He wanted to let us know that, hey, you got me.
Karma.
So Oregon State was a rare Pac-10 team at the time.
At the
They
time.
came to Spokane, played Gonzaga in the Martin Center, and you gave Gary Payton the business. Got
As a freshman.
As a freshman. Yes.
And so he remembered that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he returned the favor when
Oh,
the
yeah.
baseball team went
Yeah,
down.
he found
to-
out.
Bobby, is that right? I mean,
Yeah, he found out, most guys in the Kennel Club were baseball players. And so he wanted to, like I said, karma. So he wanted to come
That
back.
was it.
One of the other great stories, tell this one, Magic, the Nick Vanos from Santa Clara story. Is that's a good one in terms of
we
players.
we had the Adams family chant going too, but when Nick was a tall, gangly 7'2" guy, really good player for Santa Clara, and when he came in, we knew we had to get in his kitchen because that's what we did. We found out about the other players or looked at them and said, "Hey, Herman Munster, let's do it." He gets to the free throw line and our whole section and the whole crowd gets into Herman Munster, Herman Munster. And then what does Nick do? He shoots an air ball. Oh God. Air ball, air ball. Breaks the second one. But the funny thing about the story is Nick was such a great player. Went and played in Europe, then played for the Phoenix Suns. R.I.P. Nick, sorry we're talking about you. But he had an article like in the Arizona Reporter about his experience playing in Europe for the Phoenix Suns and back in college. And the Kennel Club came up, the Kennel, as the worst place to ever play in his lifetime. So that's pretty cool. That's a good shout out to the Kennel Club for making it miserable for him to come and play at our university.
Well, I've heard from multiple players that their most fun and their most miserable place to play at is Gonzaga because of exactly that. They love the environment because of the energy, but they also struggle because of the energy directed towards them. When you look at the growth of the school now, the basketball program's obviously grown. The school has grown immensely over the last 20 years. I would have to credit some of that to what you guys started because kids watching on TV see the Kennel Club. They want to be a part of that. Do you guys feel the same way that you have a small piece in being a bigger part of the university growing to what it is now?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I mean,
It's
it
gotta
certainly
be,
hasn't hurt.
Because it's,
My kids have all gone there.
Yeah. Well, my daughter went there and she was part of the Kennel Club.
yeah, the same.
I think one of the best things about the school is the school's raised its game in a number of areas.
Oh, right.
Business school, engineering school, plug as a trustee. Those are amazing, as are the athletic programs, not just men's basketball,
No,
women's
men's
basketball, baseball,
Everything.
Everything's
rowing.
elevated.
So it's great to talk to these young students who want to be a part of a fantastic community. And the kennel,
That's what it is right there.
the kennel
community.
is a part of the community, right? In addition to all the athletic and academic programs. But I love the fact that we were a small piece of a community to help make GU even better.
It's a small enough school where kids get to know kids. Here we are, 30 plus years later, still friends, still getting together for games.
No,
Go-
we just know each other. We're not all friends.
But, we're golfing together. We go to the, Gonzaga golf athletic tournament in September. We always go to the alumni games. Everything is centered around Gonzaga. It's the community feel and the friendships that we built over the many years of Gonzaga.
The best is going to basketball games with these guys almost 40 years later.
Yeah.
We're a little bit more well behaved now,
Yeah.
but
Some of us.
the spirit is still there, right? Which 40 years later almost, that's amazing, right? To be able to do it today.
That was going to be my next question. So you guys were outgoing, energetic, towing the line when you guys were college students at games. How do you act at games now?
Sometimes- We got to put the governor on Magic a few
Yeah.
times.
To be clear, Bob, Greg, and Jeff, well behaved.
Yes.
So you get the,
I get the award.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, I mean,
He's still in the
if Magic
club.
could have the raw seat tomorrow in the Moda Center for
I would
round
be
2,
on it.
He would go out and spell Gonzaga by himself on the court.
See that.
I would. I mean, that's just the guy I am.
I know.
I mean, that's part of the reason I'm named Magic is because of what I do.
Easy.
I go hard 110% every day of my life. Yeah. That's me. Look, hey, I mean, Bowie gets a seat right behind the bench. I'm trying to high five the players. He's like, Magic.
Settle down.
Yeah.
Settle down, man.
You can't be hitting
They're not
Chet
here.
Holmgren
Yeah.
before tip off.
I just wanted a high five.
We don't do that. Just like when we went to the Mariners game when Greg was coaching the Marlins. You want to go down there and yell at Red's like, Jesus, Magic, you want to put some cities on and come and sit by you? It's like,
They're my good friends. Come on.
You always pull for your good friends, and that's one thing
Yes.
as well about Gonzaga is it's a community that roots and pulls for each other. You know, I felt that over the course of my NBA career when I had good times and struggles. Teammates would stay in touch with me, former students would stay in touch, you know, encouraging me. You guys were there when John Stockton was just getting his NBA career going, and he was the first NBA player from Gonzaga, and it took a while for another one to get there. Now it's like every year you got 2 or 3 guys on the roster. When you saw John Stockton in college, did you imagine he was going to have the career that he had? And I know that's a difficult question.
definitely you could tell he kind of had it. He was kind of the it guy on the court, but I didn't think personally for me, I didn't know until he went to the Olympic tryouts and they'd come out with some chatter afterwards, even though, you know, I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But, wow, he's making an impression. All
Johnny.
these big guys and these coaches are talking about this kid from Spokane, Washington. I was like, back to the crowd, I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Some of us, a lot of baseball team guys,
Yeah.
drove over to Seattle to watch his first game as with the Jazz against the Supersonics.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Some of us on the way back had some issues, but everything worked out okay.
Yeah.
We're still here.
And how about now, when you look at the program with the amount of NBA players that they have, one of the things that Coach Field, I think, does a great job of recruiting guys that fit, I know it's a buzzword now, culture.
No,
They fit the culture of Gonzaga. They fit the culture of, like you said, Jalen Suggs comes back and wants to be a part of the Kennel Club. What's been so amazing for you guys to see that ascension of the program?
Well, I mean, you know, and part of what I do within the alumni office is I try to set up, you know, particular events all over the country. And one of them, like right now, the Wizards are going to be playing, I think at the end of March, Florida. I can't remember who they're playing. But anyway, so we're going to wind up having 3 NBA players in that game. And so we wanted to market a pregame event, you know, and all of a sudden, I just talked to the guy before we got here, the ticket guy for the Wizards. We already have 32 people that are going to the game just because we have 3 NBA players.
Yeah, Rui and
Pittsburgh, Rui, and
Suggs.
Suggs. It's good. That's a good point.
That's
And
good stuff.
so he called me back. He goes, "You got 32 people signed up already." We sent out one email to the Washington and DC area, and 32 people signed up, paid the ticket, and what they're going to do is before the game, they then get to go down, and those guys are going to meet them.
Oh,
You know,
man.
they're going to get Pittsburgh, Suggs, and Rui. They're all going to, you know, they're going to get photo shots or whatever. Good event. So, and we do that all. We did it for you.
Cell phone
We did it for you numerous times.
Yeah, I remember that. I know with what the former players did when Gonzaga made their first Final Four in Phoenix, they all went there.
Right.
And it looks like Gonzaga is trending for another Final Four in New Orleans this year. I'm just going to throw this idea out there, and if it comes to fruition, we'd love to video it and be a part of it. Gonzaga, we had a player reunion where we talked with all the current players at the time. What about a Kennel Club reunion in New Orleans where you guys get together with all the current Kennel Club members?
Be fabulous.
Yeah, and I guarantee, you know, like Harrington, Twist,
You know.
Hogan, they're going to be there. You know, Shieldsy, we'll have to get them off the mountain in Coeur d'Alene or whatever and get them over there.
We kind of did that in the first Final Four. We rented a huge house.
You did?
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
like
we did that.
14 of us, all originals. And we hung up all the different T-shirts on the fireplace.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Well, I'd say watch out. I mean, if that happens,
Yeah.
right?
Could happen
We probably
again.
have to do it in a bar in New Orleans.
Take over the French Quarter.
Take over
You know,
the French Quarter.
we'll just have Bowie shuttle people on his plane back and forth, you know, pick you
No,
up.
I think it'd be great. I mean, just we've talked about the fact that programs come so far, but the Kennel Club has come so far as well too, and not just the few of us are here. There's so many other people who carried that tradition forward.
Very instrumental.
Past presidents, past founders who can't be with us today, wouldn't that be a great way to help celebrate the almost 40 years of tradition, right?
Yeah, and speaking of the students and how involved they are, like in Vegas, we sold 700 student tickets. You know, there's entire schools that don't sell that much for their entire alumni population, like USF, BYU, they didn't have 700 people there. We sold 700 tickets to the game. So they made their truck down from Spokane for that.
I just want to mention one thing, and you mentioned the connection to the former players in the NBA. Beach was telling me a story earlier about, he ran into some guys last night, I won't say, but, well, I guess I can say it. He ran into some Kentucky guys that were out here on business. Not for the game, they were just out here on business last night. You were there, right?
Yeah, I was there.
So chime in. They're talking about Kentucky basketball. I'm like, it's not fun anymore, right?
Right.
And you ask them, what do you mean? We don't know the guys. They're not in the community. Basketball is like this at the school. And right there, that's not discouraging, or,
Right.
community back. I mean, they're not going to come and, hey, can I have some Kentucky grads come down? I'll meet them on the court.
Right.
No.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And you look
It's
at
just a story of a pretty storied program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look at our community now and you see Timmy on billboards, Anton Watson on billboards and commercials. And I mean, they're out there, they're doing service projects and they're doing all kinds of things within the community that, and they're part of,
Spokane gets
And-
behind it. Spokane. Not just, the basketball fan.
Right.
It's great.
So as we wrap up this conversation with some of the Kennel Club OGs, as we like to call them, if I can ask each one of you what your favorite memory was of being a part of the Kennel Club then, and what your expectation is or your hope is for the Kennel Club moving forward.
Wow. I think the one that stands out the most is when we were, and I can't remember what we did it to, but it's the baseball team did a halftime show. And we're all dressed in our uniforms. And I can't remember, we did it to, wasn't it Staying Alive or Saturday Night, or I don't know.
Stripes.
A dance routine?
A dance routine.
Stripes.
Yes.
Stripes.
Yes.
Good call. The movie Stripes. Good
Okay,
call.
okay, and it was just, you're looking up and it's like, that's, because I've never performed in front of an audience like that.
You're not a dancer. is
I
what
know,
you're saying.
I'm not a dancer. And to look up and see everyone, looking at us and laughing, and it was just, we had a great time.
And we're in our
Great
baseball
time.
uniforms.
Yeah, we're in full uniforms. We didn't have our cleats on, of course, but that was one that I remember. And
How
it was
about
fun.
a hope or an expectation?
That the students get involved like we did. I mean, obviously they're not gonna get on the floor and do some of the stuff that we were able to do, but they can get involved in other areas, and they do. I mean, if you look at with these rally towels, with the March Madness, and Jimmy Fallon's show and what he wants to do, if you look on our Instagram account, the students they got involved. I don't know if you've seen the dance routine that they did.
Yes.
But it was outstanding, and
Campbell was
there were hundreds of them.
Yeah. How about you, Chris?
For the Kennel Club and for my comrades here, this is what it's about. This is what I love about it. Going back to those days, playing on the baseball team, 2 of the best years of my life, going to school at Gonzaga. And then today, I'd have to say just everything about the program, how we've seen it growing up, and being able to be alive and come and hang with these guys and be able to continue that on and on and on, because every year we try and come to the games and get together, and that's what it's all about. And being with your buddies and having a great time.
That's the community piece.
Yeah.
My hope for the current kennel, though, is I hope they continue to work the pregame process like we did. Because it's a little different now, right? They let them in an hour and a half early. It's not, they're well behaved. We had way too much fun. Right. In
That's
the
part of the
pregame,
college life, right?
which was
Have fun.
exactly what it was for. And then I think going forward, my hope for the Kennel Club is that they continue to stay creative. Because I think the stuff
lost a
that
little
we
bit.
brought, now they, it's defense, the chants. But the chants that we brought are unlike anything else, right? We made them personal, we made them fun. And so I would say, hey, let's keep them creative. That would be my hope for the future.
How about a favorite memory?
Oh, favorite memory for me was the pregame, and I love the fact that we would get together and work out our routines at the house.
Yeah, we practice beforehand.
We'd practice.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we'd take a scouting report,
Well,
and we would practice in the living room. We pull the couches
Because
out.
we were spelling out Gonzaga on the floor.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
So that was going to be good segue. That was going to be that was my great. We were able to do the best we could with the 2-minute timeout.
Yes,
And we-
exactly.
And we made that 2 minutes last 2 minutes and 2 seconds till we were pushed off the court.
If the basketball guys were getting ready and putting in their work,
Yes.
we had to put in our work too.
And we practiced it in the living room floor, because there was 4 of us that spelled out Gonzaga.
Yeah,
six.
The
Six.
key, and, he come, Sean
Yeah,
come
yeah,
flying in.
yeah.
So for me.
Stay creative. That
Yes.
was my thing.
Yeah, I like it. So for me, it was just, I think we took advantage of the time we had, I would say the floor time we had. Kind of like a guy coming off the bench in 2 minutes and, scoring 6 points, taking it. We took advantage of all the time we had. Going forward, Bowie, still my thunder, but same thing. Everything seems, they do a great job, it's scripted, but just get a little more creative on some, and I know it's administration in school, not over the line, but come up with some creative chants or different things, but man, to see it grow, unbelievable. And again, to be here,
Proud. Yeah.
I'm super proud.
1988, did you think we'd be sitting here right now in 2022 doing this?
No.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
Let's do it in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Can we do a little Go Gonzaga?
Yeah. Well, Jeff, Greg, Chris, Bob, thank you guys. It's been great to hear a little bit more of your guys' backstory. We appreciate it, Gonzaga Nation SI. Thanks you guys for sitting down with us, and go ahead, take it away with your
Thank you.
chant.
What do you got?
Appreciate it.
What do you got?
Well, first I got to do a little Jimmy Fallon. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you really want. Da, 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 da. No, but let's do a Go Gonzaga, and let's come out ready to play in the first half on Saturday, huh?
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Go Gonzaga! G-O-N-Z-A-G-A, go! Gonzaga! G-O-N-Z-A-G-A, go! Gonzaga! G-O-N-Z-A-G-A, go! Zags!
There you have it for Gonzaga Nation SI, the Kennel Club OGs. Great job.
Awesome.
Hopefully